All right, so our next one, we're going to solve the quadratic inequality algebraically. So your first step, you are going to treat it just like you would when you are solving a quadratic equation. Okay, so I'm going to check, can I factor this? So my AC value, A is -1, C is 8, so that would multiply to -8, and B equals -2. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to -8 and add to -2. So I know 1 and 8 multiply to 8, 2 and 4, and that's really it. So I need to figure out which one's going to be positive and which one's negative. If I did 2 minus 4, that would get me to -2. So that means I'm going to use a positive 2x, -4x. The rest of my equation stays the same with a -x squared. This middle term will split into a plus 2x and then minus 4x. We keep the plus 8 and equals 0. Then you factor out the GCF from the first two terms. They both have an x in common, and because the first term is negative, I am going to factor out a negative there. So I'm going to factor out a -x times, and inside the parentheses, we would have an x minus 2. Then for the second part, the last two terms, I'm going to factor out a -4 because the first term is negative. That's why I'll factor it out. And when you factor out a -4 here, you would get x minus 2 equals 0. Once you have that, your parentheses should be the same because we are factoring that out to the front, so we only have it once. That would be an x minus 2, and then everything else that's remaining will go in its own set, so the -x minus 4. This still equals 0. To get our values, we'll set x minus 2 equals 0. That tells us x equals 2. And then -x minus 4 equals 0. Be careful with this one because of the negative there. When you solve, you have to get x by itself. So you have to divide it by a -1, and you'll get x equals -4. So make sure you are careful with that. That can throw off your answer. Okay. After you have those values, then you go ahead and you draw your number line. Those two numbers go on your number line. Make sure you put the smallest one on the left and the largest number on the right. So it should go -4 too. This one is a less than or equal to, so these points are included in our inequality. So that means when we write our final answer, we should have an or equal to with it. This parabola opens down because our A value is negative. So for it to open down, it has to start on the top and then go that way. In our original inequality, sorry, I keep zooming in and out, we have -x squared minus 2x plus 8 is less than or equal to 0. So if we're looking at this, because this is less than or equal to 0, we are looking for when our graph is negative. When it's below the line, it's negative. When it's above the line, it is positive. So we're looking for the parts of where it's negative. And on this number line, that's going to be going to the left and then going to the right. So we have to write an inequality for each of those parts. For the one on the left, we have any values where x is going to be less than or equal to -4. Because -5 would be over here, -10, those are all less than. And then on the right, we would have x is greater than or equal to 2, because these numbers would all be bigger than 2. When you write them together, you want to make sure you include the word or, because it just has to be true for one of these inequalities, not both of them. So x is either less than or equal to -4 or greater than or equal to 2, and that's your final answer.